we've seen PBD rise from the worst deck in format to a relatively good rogue deck. But what happens when you take the game's most historically refined card and bring it to the 5k shield format? Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Dbt05 here. Today we're covering the best encounter. It has to be the best. It's been the best for 10 over years now. The end has lasted from 2011 to 2019 straight, either as the boss or being played with the cross in the Legion, all the way to V, where it was replaced with VDN, and VDN has lasted from then all the way till now, in both V and Premium, with or without the cross. I mean, for V, the cross came and then you played with the cross, and in Premium you play VDN.
You went from one the cross to the other the cross.
The same VDN with both versions of the cross. It just depends on the situation. But we now have another DN. So historically, this card was never going to fail. And I have great news for you. It did not fail. So DN is part of the Overlord deck, surprise. And if you've been following our Overlord deck profile for the past 3 sets, which we actually have been doing, links to it in the description below, the Overlord has just been a really good rogue deck in our opinion. It worked really well. It didn't talk because who the hell plays Overlord, right? But yeah, it's been good, and with the end, it's just gotten even better because Overlord can no longer just poke off rear guards and just swing in as a multi-attacker. With that degree, it now can just focus 2 attacks on the center column straight, and that's just insane in your format when you have so little shield. So let's actually get started on it. I'm really excited to start.
Yes.
Our right deck is the same as before. Lizard Runner Undum, Embodiment of Armor Bar, Dragon Knight Nahalem, and Dragonic Overlord. So it really is the same. I won't explain it too much because we've done this like 3 times now. If we explain, we are really just repeating ourselves.
Yes.
Generic starter, when your Vanguard's attack hits on the rear guard, this card's on the rear guard circle against 5k, so it's a 13k booster.
Yes.
Or attacker. And when rolled upon by Nahalem, you can't blast 1, you search your deck for grade 1, add it to the hand. So like I've said, I think 2 times, you can toolbox the entire DE grade 1 arsenal, but you are only really looking for your PG. But if
it's not just the PG. It's either the PG or your Togashi.
You can toolbox, that's what I'm saying. But the best target to me would still be
the PG,
unless otherwise. But hey, not bad.
Welcome back to Vanguard Zero.
Welcome back, Conor. Our grade 2 is Dragon Knight Nahalem. When rolled upon by Dragonic Overlord, you can call it out to the rear guard. And then after that, its other skill is that you can Soul Blast 1.
If you have an Overlord
Vanguard, this unit and that unit gain 5. So itself becomes a 15k attacker, Overlord himself becomes an 18k attacker. Yeah. It's good because
and the best part is that it's any Overlord. It's not just this one.
You can play it in Premium too.
Yes.
That's what I really enjoy about Nahalem. Like Nahalem was what paved the way for us to create our whole little package of transforming soul into power back in set 2, where we did it with N10 and Nahalem, and we're just kind of keeping up the same trend with Nahalem still.
I mean, even though like we took a hiatus for 1 set because
we took a hiatus from Soul Overlord for a set because Pure Light was really just killing. We wanted more tempo, but hey, I mean now you can still go back to doing it because we don't really have much problems and people can't afford Pure Light, so thank God.
Yes.
Dragonic Overlord. When this unit attacks a rear guard circle, your opponent cannot do anything.
No. Okay, they can
play all the
they
stuff,
can
but
play all
they can't guard.
But they can't guard cards from hand.
Yeah, so it's effectively dead unless they somehow power up the rear guard to be stronger than Overlord, which please. Overlord's other skill is that at the end of the bell, this unit attack hits, you can't blast 1, you discard 1 card, stand it gets drive -1.
Yes.
Really simple. It's the same card from set 2, so yeah, it's just a good way to attack a rear guard and a Vanguard like what the original 2010 one did.
Yeah.
Or you could try to swing 2 times to the Vanguard and parade hits.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, but that's so unreliable. It is. So let's show you someone that is more reliable. DN. So DN has 2 skills. As long as the original is in the soul, this unit gains 5,000 power and its drive checks cannot be reduced. Cannot be reduced? That was actually an idea brought to us by the Cross from the V series. So if you are coming back and you've never heard of this clause before, you can blame the guy who did cause us to lose a format.
Yes.
So yeah,
$60.
I mean, it's $60.
$60 VR.
$60. I don't even know how much it is, but yeah, it is just really good that they actually brought it back. It's a very interesting thing they brought back. They could have just done more power, but having a 5k power buff during your turn does help. An 18k multi-attacker does help. And the no drive without hit, I mean, it just rewards you for waiting a turn in base form Overlord to ensure your end game is virtually guaranteed.
I mean, yeah, it's also the reason why we are not playing it in the right deck. Even though,
Yeah.
I mean, though two attacks to the face on turn 3 is good, but you know,
Every subsequent turn, you are just losing.
yeah,
out
and
so
also
much.
like the early control aspect, especially for like decks like Bastion, you know, Magnolia, you know, decks that like to call stuff early to the front row. You know, it's basically a free minus for them, and they give you a free drive check. So you know, when you get free advantage, you should take it.
Yes. So that's the first skill. The second skill is the most iconic skill. It has no more Persona Blast. I hate to spoil the fun. At the end of the battle, this unit attacks. You count blast 1, discard 2 cards, you stand this guy, he gets drive minus 1.
But as because of the first skill,
because of the first skill, it doesn't matter. So
yes.
you effectively will just keep your turn drive, which is
Yes.
great, you know.
Yes.
And it doesn't even have to hit. So if it didn't hit, you stand. If it hit, you stand. It's not like old DNs where, at least the 2011 one, where it had to hit.
Yeah.
And even when it was tied to one hit, it still was meta for 9 years, right?
Yeah, welcome back to Legion
Welcome
format.
back. Well, so this guy, he wins.
Yes.
But I get that a lot of people were disappointed because the skill looked too simple. A lot of people were just like, oh my goodness, Dagriel, which was revealed the same day, is so much better. But simplicity is better. I mean, you
Yes.
get an 18k attacker straight 2 times 4 drives in the 5k shield format.
And like
I don't see the problem.
and like Kagura has been for the past 10 years, he is 100% self-sufficient.
And
Nowhere on this thing does it say, oh, you need to have a grade 0 and then you have to turn it into a grade 4, or nowhere does it say, oh, you need to have like 5 rear guards on board, then you have a rear guard that's Soul Blast 1, gain 10k if your opponent has no rear guards, or you know, nothing. Or you know, you have to have like weapons, nothing.
No, nothing.
Overlord does everything on its own. Even Dagria, which was revealed on the same day and was supposedly overshadowed the end, she also requires a piece reliant deck.
Yeah.
She also requires tons and tons and tons of things that for everything to go right for you to win. The only thing that you have to do to make the end win is right the end.
Yes. And unlike the common perception in V, that, you know, Kagero has no good rears, we actually have the best rear of all time. So we're gonna get into him in a bit, but generally the point we're trying to drive across is that this guy is already super good by himself, and the rest of the deck just makes it a lot worse.
Yeah.
We've had 3 sets of support for Overlord, albeit they came in drips.
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised, a lot of the cards that came in the first wave are still here today. Still.
Yes.
Not like in Phantom Blast or Overlord where you threw them out and then take them back in because they were now relevant. No, these guys were always relevant. So
Yes.
we're going to show it to them, and then it'll make more sense to you on why this deck is actually still pretty good.
Yes.
Moving on to our grade 2s, we play 1 copy of
Oh,
Dragonic
yeah.
Harlem
In the right
deck, and we play 2 more on the main deck.
Yes.
So that's a 3 total. We play 4 copies of Berserk Dragon. We play 2 copies of Desert Gunner Ethan. You will remember him from our set 3 and 4 deck profile. So we'll still explain him. And of course, our new legend, Burning Horn Dragon. Let's just cover the more ones that we are familiar with. Berserk Dragon, probably the one you definitely remember.
He's been in this deck for the longest
time.
of any time. I mean, like even the Harlem hasn't been in the main deck as long as him.
Yeah,
Which
but
is
Berserk
saying
Dragon is when he attacks, if your Vanguard's Overlord, you gain 5. You can choose to pay an additional count plus 1. Choose one of your opponent's grade 2 or lower rear guards and retire it. So, I mean, yeah, it's a 15k attacker. Albeit it's tied to turn 3 because Overlords only appear on turn 3, and then he gains 5.
And you trade
And you
you
can
trade
snipe
a
out.
CB for snipe, which for a lot of decks is basically suicide because you know they don't have free plus.
Yeah.
Or the only plus is from the right deck, which they can't
So they
repeat.
recreated the original Berserk, which was a Blaster Blade clone, into something that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, why couldn't they have done this for D Blaster Blade?
Yeah, why couldn't they have done it?
I
Honestly.
don't know, and these guys are rare, right?
Yeah, I mean, if all the Blaster Blades became better, then why can't Blaster Blade himself become better?
Speaking of people that can become better, we have Burning Horn Dragon, who makes himself better
Yes.
for everything. This card is insane.
Can you imagine he used to just be a 12k attacker and then he became a strike forwarder in the format without strikes?
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Man. And we have Burning Horn Evolved in
Yes.
G. Oh, that's interesting.
And that guy gave 6k. What card gave 6k?
It's what? Okay, when this unit is placed on the regular circle, count blast 1, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, and up to 1 Overlord from among them into your hand. If you fail, counter charge 1. 10 years! 10 years! It's written on the card. They took 10 years to give you compensation on a search.
Yes.
I'm out of words. I play a deck with 12 searches. No compensation. I've played Mega Colony CB1, open the top 6 for 2 Dark Face and whiff.
Yes.
I've played worse searches. I mean, there was one in Blau, right? Come down, small look at the top 5.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, there's stuff like that. Yeah, they didn't have this clause. This guy has no reason to give you a counter charge. The main's first skill is straight up compensate you for being a premium based card. Yeah, because they printed it as a 5k and then it became a 10k just because of a skill. But Burning Horn already has built-in compensation. We didn't even reach the best part yet. So, even if you can't afford the end, which I mean, this is Overlord, you should pick this up.
Yes.
And this is not just for D, I mean this for Premium too.
Yes.
This guy is definitely a must include in Overlord Premium, in my opinion.
Yes.
There's no argument against this guy. He's free, he can compensate,
Yes.
and he has a second skill, which is whenever your Vanguard of Overlord attacks, he gains 5,000 power. So it's Igni Road, but even more generic, because Igni Road is only tied to the cross.
Yes.
This guy works for even the turnabout, you know? It's insane. You can play this in turnabout because you can now search for your overlords. You don't have to play that full armored Dragon Buster, Soul Blast 2, and then look at the top 7, you know? No, that's too expensive. No. And full armored Dragon Buster can fail.
Yes.
He can fail and compensate. I'm out of words, honestly. I can end the deck profile here, and you already get the message that this guy is broken. So
Yes.
yeah, I have to move on. I can't.
I mean, the longer we spend on this, the more your
essay
brain
on
will
it,
just die. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Dragonic Ethan. Dragonic Ethan, pretty good card. When your Vanguard attack hits, you retire himself, draw 1, counter charge. So cool counter charge, cool recycle. You know, his only problem is the 9k, but your power is settled. So it's fine as a 2-off. We used to play it, I think 3 to 4.
No, he used to play 4
He used to
because
play
he basically could let Overlord play forever.
Yeah,
there was really nothing that could stop Overlord with just 4 items.
Because
But
this
now
guy
because
totally refunds the
yeah.
original Overlord.
but
whereas
now
you
because
don't need that.
we are playing the end, your attacks won't guarantee hit anymore, even on the rear guard.
And
So
you don't even need that much counterblast because
you get refunded.
yeah. So yeah, I have to stop here. But Ethan is still a good guard. So don't be
Don't discount it yet because
don't
you know
discount it.
in the early game as well as in the mid game, your opponent will let
Your
the
Vanguard
end
attack
hit sometimes. So
Or not even the end,
and
even
he'll
the
let
base
even
Overlord.
base Dio hit. But
Yeah, so-
because we only play 1 copy of base Dio and we want to get to the end as fast as possible, that's why Ethan's slots have gone back to Nahalem. So we won't be playing as many of him, but when he comes up and he does work, he will put in a lot of work for this deck.
Yep.
As he always has.
Now Harlem, we went through him already.
Yes.
Pretty good card, 15k attacker for the rear guard. He gives Overlord +5, so it's a
Yes.
restanding Vanguard. That's great news.
Yeah.
The call skill when rolled upon by Overlord is only meant for the right deck one.
Yes.
So
But
you don't have to worry
for the same reason as to what we said for Ethan, the power is already settled. So you don't have to play 4 copies of him. That's why we can afford to still play copies of Ethan so that we are still covered in terms of the longevity of our deck.
yes. Moving on to grade ones, we play 1 copy of Bar
For the right deck.
for the right deck, and we play more in the main deck. Actually,
Yeah,
we
3
play
copies
3
of
more because it's a good card. We
Yes.
play 3 copies of Toja Chirashi. We play 4 copies of the Eugene Turtle.
Gates
Gates 4
4
is back. I knew it. He stayed.
Yes.
And of course, we play 4 PJ.
Yes.
Yeah. Overlord indeed has been a simple deck that has kept its identity strong.
Yes.
This list is no exception. We play 4 PG because we're interested in staying alive. We play 4 of the Eugene Turtle because it is pretty good.
Yeah.
Its skill, for those of you who missed that video, is
When your rear guard,
when your opponent's rear guard
is
is retired, you stand this guy, he gains
2k.
2k. And this only works on a back row. So
Yes.
he is a 10k restanding booster when it comes in conjunction with the original Dragonic Overlord. But if you don't, you can always combo in with Berserk Dragon, who is
Yes.
also a battle phase retirer, by the way.
Yes.
So you can actually have multiple sources to trigger Gates 4 during the battle phase. Because during the main phase, you don't want to use the skill. You don't. It's a 1 per turn, so you only get to use it once, and it gains 2k. So it becomes an 8k booster to a 10k booster, and it restands at that. So solid card altogether. Do not sleep on Eugene fans. We have tech for you. Then we move on to our grade 1 Toja Chirashi, this guy has been the soul of our soul overlord.
I mean, if Irina threw him out and Eugene doesn't need him, then it only and Baba Sagra already has its own toolboxing, then it only makes sense that he will come back to Overlord as it has always was meant to be.
Yes. When this card is discarded, you can move
You know, discarded during your turn.
Discard during your turn, you move
yeah.
to your soul.
Move
So,
your soul.
discard for right there, you get a free soul. Discard it during your battle phase, move it to the soul. You discard it during your bonus turn, you don't get it back. But in any other case, it's just really good. I mean, you have 3 basically like Rising Phoenix style cards, and it moves the soul, so it funds your Nahalem too.
Now I do know that Overlord did get a double rare in this set that does what Toga Chirashi does, but only in the battle phase, and it gives your Overlord 5,000 after that. The problem is that that battle phase only is alive on turn 3, whereas Toga Chirashi is live on turn 1 because you can discard it for the right deck and you can use it then and there. And this deck does need soul even as soon in the early stage. So this is the reason why I've chosen to just go with Toga Chirashi and just leave the other guy for as a tech option. Or if you want to play it,
it's fine.
And also because our grade 2 slots are very, very highly contested at this point. We do need boosters, which is why Bar is here. So so it's one of if you want to say use both, that is fair, but for me I rather one or the other, because if you have too many cards that requires you to keep them in hand and not on field, then of course you're still gonna lose, because if Overlord is just swinging twice, your opponent can just PG or they can just guard.
Yeah, I mean your power is already taken care of. So
yes.
Don't worry about it.
So you still need board presence, even though it is good to plus soul and gain power, but you still need some board presence. Speaking of board presence, so since we've already gone through Bar, I can already explain that there is of course the worry that once I go to DN, the attack won't hit anymore. Well, the opponent's at 2 damage. Your Vanguard's gonna swing twice, and you're gonna as a Kagero player, you will check triggers somehow or rather. So they will let 1 out of 2 of those attacks hit, and you better hold and then so long as you don't unstupid and swing with the rear that is boosted by Bar before your second Overlord can hit, then he will always be a 13k booster, and he'll always give everything on your board magic number. Then Harlem turns from a 23k to a 28k, Burning Horn becomes a 28k into a 33k. So since we are in the 5k shield format, that is very good.
Yeah, especially even if you're worried about the end, you still have 3 turns of getting Bar into a lethal attacker or booster. So there is no argument against it. It is free, so play it. It is free.
Yeah, it is free.
I mean, long ago we used to say Dragon Empire is the clan of magic numbers.
Yes.
3 sets down the line,
3 sets down the line, only 2 out of 4 of those decks
2
remain.
4 those decks remain, yeah.
Because one of them turn into Order Hell, and the other one's turn into Grade 4 Hell.
Yep, and then we're Shia Yuki. Our grade 0s, we play 4 heals, 3 draws, 1 starter, and 8 crits.
Yes.
As well as the OT Drunk Fed Up.
Because
It's exactly the same. It has not changed, it will not change.
Yes.
Because fundamentally Overlord cannot change. It is, just 8 crits because it's Overlord, heals because you want to live, draws, you need pieces in its deck. We won't play fronts. And remember, your power is taken care of. OT Drunk Fed Up, I mean
you're playing Overlord.
You're playing
attack.
Overlord,
You might
yeah,
as well play
yeah.
Overlord the trigger as well.
Yeah, and you won't want Obaria because your power is already taken care of. So yeah, I don't have to do it again.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just good card altogether. Lizard Runner Undum, the starter, cause flavor. But you can play what you want. You want to defect and play Tamayura, that's fine. You want to play the 8, that's fine.
Yes.
And that actually wraps up our Dragonic Overlord DN deck profile. It took us a while because we really want to explain the ins and outs of the new cards. Primarily, it had to be those 2. But other than that, it works insanely well.
Yes.
The deck is simple. It gives you the magic numbers. It gives you the pressure when you need it. It gives you the spot removal when you need it. I do not see a problem with DN. DN, unlike PVO, will live on.
Yes.
It will become a pretty good deck in the D series. I don't know if it's meta because it depends on the Craycross Epics guide too.
Yeah,
but I would say safely, if you were concerned that the D power level for set 5 is lower than set 4, Overlord has defied that. He has climbed up. He is up there. It's definitely pretty good.
he's lasted from this to this.
Yeah.
In 10 years.
10 years.
The skill has not changed. He's even a 13k back in 2011 though.
Yeah, they called this. They predicted 2 reboots.
Yes.
They knew this would happen. We didn't. We were fools.
Yeah.
They knew this would happen.
10 years of legacy, and he still and he still just withstands without gaining power.
Now I kind of wish I brought my old PBO and put it next to my DPBO for my other video. Check it out. It's in my channel. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. We will be covering MLB after this, and then possibly the Craycross Epics. Which one would you like to see? It depends on you. Let me know in the comment section down below, and if I have the money, you may see it. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.
Bye bye.